So I am, yeah.
All right. Welcome everyone. This is Tressa, and today with Conversations with a Sister. And our topic today is pleasure and power. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know what just happened. Mine went out. So 1 second. Okay, I apologize, everybody. For some reason, my screen dropped. Okay, this is Tressa with Conversations with a Sister, aka the Forum. And today we have our guest, Nichole Charles. She's going to be talking about pleasure and power, where pleasure meets, where pleasure becomes our practice. Again, I am Tressa, and I'm going to let our host, Rachel, introduce herself, and then we will talk with Miss Deborah, Miss Nichole.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm thankful to be here co-hosting with Tressa. I'm excited about all we are all going to learn. Um, and without further ado, next voice who you will hear is Nichole. Is that? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Good evening. Good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you so much, Rachel and Teresa, for having me on the forum tonight with Conversations with a Sister. I am very delighted to be here and sharing space with you both. Um, for tonight's topic on pleasure and power, where pleasure becomes your practice. I'm going to be speaking specifically to a very, how do I say, it is a sacred feminine tool that has been gaining traction within the last decade, I want to say, in terms of awareness on social media and in the entertainment world, which is working with yoni eggs. Before we begin, I would like to preface by saying that tonight's conversation, it's yes, going to be juicy, but we're gonna get raw with the language because I like to talk about the pussy. You will hear me interchange between pussy, yoni, womb, but it's all pertaining to the seat of our power as the divine feminine incarnate having this human experience. So there have been a lot of women who are curious about working with yoni eggs. Some of you may own a yoni egg or have owned a yoni egg. You may have been hesitant on working with your yoni egg. Um, or you may have worked with it, have experience with working with it, took a break from working it. And this conversation is an invitation for us all to lean into the curiosity of working with yoni eggs and how this can support us as women.
Ms. Nichole, before you finish, one thing that I
Mhm,
did not do, I want to make sure everybody understands that you're a well wisdom practitioner, you are
mhm.
a bush woman, you are a moon mother, and you're a high priestess from St. Thomas. I wanted to make sure that I made sure they understood. You know what you're talking
Okay.
about.
Okay. Yeah, I do. And I guess before we go into that further, I guess I should explain a little bit more of myself. I am from the U.S. Virgin Islands, specifically the island of St. Thomas, which is a U.S. territory in the Caribbean. I have been practicing now as a woman wisdom practitioner uh, consistently since 2018. But a lot of what we will be discussing tonight about working with yoni eggs I will be mostly speaking from my personal experience and how working with Uni X can support you with anchoring your power through pleasure. So I wanted to pause here to allow Teresa or Rachel, if you all have any questions, to kind of segue the conversation forward.
I don't have any questions. I will say to anyone who I see we have a guest on. When I say a guest, someone who decided to come in and listen. If they have any questions, please write it in the comments, and we'll let you get started. And as you talk, that may cause us to have questions then.
Okay, that's fine. So what are yoni eggs? Yoni eggs are sacred feminine tools that are utilized by women. They're primarily known to be used to support pelvic health, whether it is for pelvic exercise or for pelvic strengthening. There are a myriad of not only physical uses of working with yoni eggs, but there are also emotional and spiritual uses for working with yoni eggs. Yoni eggs are a very ancient sacred feminine tool. Basically, it's an egg shape, usually in the form of some crystal, carved egg shaped, that is inserted into the vaginal canal. Once it is inserted into the vaginal canal, it provides support with strength training of the pelvic muscles, which is very beneficial for preventing uterine prolapse, or to also support women who may have difficulty with connecting with their yoni, with their wombs, with their pussy, and also provide support with lubrication, support with emotional transformation and transmutation, and also spiritual anchoring.
Okay.
Tonight, I'm not going to go into all of these things. I'm going to only just speak on the basics of working with yoni eggs, what types of yoni eggs are there, and I'll leave space for anyone who may have questions.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned, yoni eggs are very ancient tools. From my recollection of my studies, there are two civilizations that we know of on record where the utilization of yoni eggs existed, which is ancient China and ancient India. Most people of today, when they hear of yoni eggs, another name they will hear of is the jade egg. That comes from the ancient China iteration or workings of with yoni eggs. But what we do know in that instance of those ancient times of working with yoni eggs was that they were tools that were exclusive to royalty and the harem in each of those civilizations, meaning only royalty had access to working with them. Additionally, what we see on media right now in terms of how they are being touted for use is not how they were used in ancient times. And in fact, my personal opinion, and I'm going to fire some shots on this, it is a bastardization of a sacred feminine tool and practice. The use of yoni eggs for vaginal weightlifting is again an affront to the sanctity and the sacredness of the use of this sacred feminine tool, and it's a deviation in which how it is used to support feminine embodiment. So in that sense and in that lens, primarily working with yoni eggs was to support women with staying at home in their bodies. For those who have had experience with working with them, you will realize or recollect that when you work with your yoni jewels or your yoni eggs, sensations are much more heightened in the womb and in the yoni. And this is what brings presence-fulness and awareness that you are at home and you are present in your body. I wanted to pause here to see if anyone had any questions before I continue.
I have two, and I'm not sure if Rachel does, but if you do, Rachel, jump in. One of the things I wanted to ask is, when you talked about the eggs, you said some people call them jade eggs and some of them call them the yoni eggs. Tell us if you recommend the ones with the drilled and undrilled, and why you call it the bastardization by when you talk about weightlifting with the egg.
Okay, so, and I'm so glad that you asked that question because I was gonna speak to that next. So that is in perfect alignment. There are two forms of yoni eggs. You have drilled yoni eggs and you have undrilled yoni eggs. Drilled yoni eggs, there are two ways in which they are drilled. Give me one moment. I'm gonna get one of my personal yoni eggs. Give me one moment. I'll be right back.
She'll be right back. Welcome, 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 and thank you to everybody who's watching. I think someone came in and I thought I let you in, but I don't see you on here. But welcome to those of you who are here and maybe I couldn't see you or I can't see you. Welcome to everybody. Thank y'all for showing up. We appreciate you. You're welcome, Andrea. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you to all the ladies who are showing up today.
Okay. Thank you so much for permitting me because I had no intentions of showing one. So this is one of my personal yoni eggs. This is an aqua obsidian. Okay. Now, as you see, it's egg-shaped. With a drilled yoni egg, there are two ways that they are drilled. They can have holes on either side of the top pointed portion of the yoni egg, or they can have a hole on the pointed end funneling through the wide end. Those are two ways in which yoni eggs are drilled. And then there are undrilled yoni eggs. From the looks of this one, it's undrilled. Now, when it comes to working with yoni eggs and deciding whether to go with a drilled or an undrilled yoni egg, there are factors to consider. When working with a drilled yoni egg, it requires you having the capability to be able to insert a string so that when you insert it and you're ready to remove it, there's ease of removal by pulling the string and it comes out. Now, when you heard me mention a little bit about the vaginal weightlifting in that instance, they utilize a drilled yoni egg so that they tie the string that is tied to the yoni egg 2 weights to lift. Now, in this instance, as a purveyor of yoni eggs or yoni jewels, as I like to call them, I do not sell drilled yoni eggs. There are pros to working with drilled yoni eggs, depending on the unique circumstance that the woman is navigating. If, for instance, she's navigating sexual trauma, where she wants to heal from that, but because yoni eggs are highly penetrative in nature and how we work with them when we insert them, sometimes that woman will require the support of a drilled yoni egg so that when that penetrative frequency becomes too much, she has that control to be able to remove it if she feels called to.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to, for me specifically, when I work with women who are called to work with yoni eggs, my major concern with working with drilled yoni eggs is integrity and sanitation. Integrity in terms of the structural integrity of the egg. Because when you have a drilled yoni egg, as you practice working with it to retain it for longer periods of time, it is sitting in a consistent moist environment, which is the vaginal canal. And over time, that moisture can cause the structural integrity of the crystal to dissipate and disintegrate. Not to mention, when removing sanitation, being able to clean those holes, it can be a bit difficult to clean. So that is the reason why I do not procure and sell drilled yoni eggs, because I have concerns about the structural integrity depending on the type of crystal and also for sanitary purposes. Usually, when you get to a certain level in terms of mastery with working with your yoni egg, there will come a point that you will retain your yoni egg within you for longer than several hours. There have been women that have worked with me and myself personally. We go sometimes a whole month with it in, going about doing our usual day-to-day, what we do on the toilet, all of that, and it stays in. Most women, when it does not come out, they become afraid because they think that it is stuck. No, your yoni jewel is not stuck.
It'll come out when it's ready.
It has a capacity to be able to stay in once you get acclimated and it has merged with your energetic frequency, your body, and your energy signature, that it stays in because there is work that it supports you with doing, and it needs to stay in for a longer period of time. So as you build a relationship and you expand into working with it, you will find that you're able to retain it within you for longer periods of time before it releases on its own. Additionally, you will also find that if you work with a yoni egg, you may have inserted it with the pointed end going in, and when it comes out with the pointed end going out. So yes, it has the capability to flip inside of you. And there are metaphysical and alchemical explanations for that, but I'm not going to go into that here. Now, the other thing when it comes to working with yoni eggs, sizing. What is the recommended size for a woman who is just starting out on her yoni egg journey? It is always advised that you start with a large. Now, in terms of sizing, usually yoni eggs are determined by millimeter. And give me one moment. I really don't keep the sizes memorized
And I
personally.
do have some different sizes as well.
Yes. But it's always advised that you work with a large because in your just getting acclimated with this new sacred feminine tool, you have to be able to feel the weight of it within you so that you can practice and you can do the strengthening, working the vaginal muscles so that you learn how to not only retain it, but when you insert it, you will actually learn that there are different muscles within the womb that supports different actions. So what do I mean by that? When you insert your yoni egg for the first time, and as you get acclimated to it being inside of you and you're able to feel it because that's what the large does, you get to feel it inside of you so that you can learn how to hold it. For instance, if you go to use the restroom to urinate, you're going to learn how to isolate the muscles because our immediate reaction when we go to use the restroom to urinate is that we just bear down to urinate. When you have a yoni egg inserted within your vaginal canal, it will actually support you in learning how to isolate the muscles so that you only direct the muscles in the area of the urethra to release the urine, but then yet still the muscles within the vaginal canal to hold and retain it. That's a form of strength training that you will automatically learn once you begin working with it on how to isolate the muscles within the womb region. And of course, when you go to poop, you will learn to do the same thing. You will learn how to isolate the muscles, the sphincter muscles in the anal region so that you can release your poop but still be able to retain it in the vaginal canal. And what that does is that it teaches you how to inhabit your body, your womb area in a unique way, and also support with expansion. I'm going to speak to that expansion a little bit later. So put a pin in that.
Okay.
Now, in terms of the various sizes of yoni eggs, large ranges from, I believe, is 45 millimeters to up to 50 millimeters. I'm going to actually put that in writing for those who may require that exact precise information later on. But it's between, I think, 40 or 45 millimeters to 50 millimeters is classified as a large yoni egg. This yoni egg is what we would classify as a medium yoni egg. So between 30, 33, up to 40 is classified as a medium yoni egg. And then anything lower than 30 millimeters is classified as a small. Now, I will say this. The only crystal that has a different sizing range is the nephrite jade or even jade yoni eggs if you're able to find it, because jade was the common crystal that was used in ancient China for the carving of yoni eggs that basically you can't really find much jade. So nephrite jade is a jade substitute that we know of. In ancient India, they used petrified wood as the crystal to carve to make yoni eggs in ancient India. Now, Nephrite jade, because it's at a smaller size, the large would be classified between, I think, like 39 to 45 millimeters. And then, of course, the medium would be between like 30 to 35, and then a small less than that. So the nephrite jade, they do come a bit smaller in their sizing of what you would compare to, like, say, an obsidian or a rose quartz or a clear quartz or a red jasper. Whereas those other crystals have your usual standard sizing. Does anyone have any additional questions? I feel like as if there was another question you had asked, Teresa, that I didn't answer.
I think you did, because it's not sticking with me, but I do
Okay.
want to ask you about, you're talking about the different eggs, like nephrite and a couple other ones you named, like clear quartz and things like that. Can you also speak to the ladies and let them know what each one of those, or a few of them, that you would recommend, especially for beginners,
Okay.
um so that we can know, and and you could just give a few, because you will be doing another, training and stuff, so.
Yes. So ideal first yoni eggs for when a woman is embarking on her yoni egg journey. Now, usually the premise of when women choose to work with crystals, aside from working with yoni eggs, you usually work with the crystal that you're drawn to. Now, most women tend to do that same approach when it comes to working with yoni eggs for the first time. So you tend to find most women would gravitate to like a rose quartz or even an amethyst yoni egg. When women come to me for a consultation to purchase a yoni egg or to receive guidance on foundational wisdom with working on yoni eggs, I always teach or educate from the perspective of, especially if you are working with yoni eggs for chakra balancing, I always advise women to start with a root chakra yoni egg. So
Hmm.
your root chakra yoni eggs are black obsidian, red jasper, um, snowflake obsidian. You also have like Dalmatian jasper. And then you also have crystal yoni eggs that will vibrate at more than one chakra. So like tiger's eye, which vibrates at both the root as well as the solar plexus. You would have like African bloodstone, which vibrates at the root as well as the heart chakra. And there are things that you have to take into consideration when it comes to purchasing your yoni jewel, along the lines of ensuring. So this is one of the most important things that I want to speak to, that I really want women to take into consideration. Not every egg-shaped crystal is a yoni egg, and not every crystal that is also advertised as a yoni egg may be safe for yoni insertion. I'm going to expound on that. Not because a crystal is egg-shaped means that it's safe for yoni insertion. What this means is when you are feeling called to purchase a crystal egg that you want to use to work with as a yoni egg, it is imperative to have a rapport with the retailer to ensure that it is safe, one, that is advertised for sale as a yoni egg, and that two, there aren't any coatings on the crystal. So like titanium coating, any kind of clear polymer coating or resins. Once it has any of those things, it is not safe for yoni insertion. The next thing, there are retailers out there that advertise certain crystals and selling them as yoni eggs, and they are not safe for yoni insertion. Primary example, there are people who sell yoni eggs and are selling lapis lazuli yoni eggs. I vehemently oppose any woman buying a lapis lazuli yoni egg. Why? You have to study the chemical constitution and makeup of that crystal to ensure that it is safe for yoni insertion. Lapis lazuli contains pyrite, large amounts of pyrite, in addition to other metals that are not safe for insertion into the womb and the yoni. One of the things I want to share with you ladies here tonight, if you want to study more, because there are even other crystals such as calcite, pink calcite, that is being sold as a yoni egg. That is dangerous because calcite is one of those crystals that is a little bit lower on the MOHS, M-O-H-S, hardness scale, which means that prolonged exposure to moist environments such as the yoni can cause it to dissolve over time and may even lead to poisoning if you're not careful. So there is a book, and this is a book that was written by my spiritual parents. It's only in Kindle format, and you can find it on Amazon. It is called Yoni Egg Secrets, The Definitive Guide by Namaste Moore. That book has a lot of information on a lot of well-known crystals in terms of their properties and if they are safe to use as a yoni egg. But typical ideal starter yoni eggs, most women tend to, or you see most retailers sell, rose quartz, black obsidian, and nephrite jade. Those are the common yoni eggs that you will see for sale. My recommendation is to always start with a root chakra yoni egg. And the reason being for this is because in our present day society, a lot of us women struggle with feeling safe, struggle with feeling at home in our bodies. Basically, a lot of us women have unbalanced root chakras. And anytime you want to do any type of work, even if it's heart healing, until you recognize that each chakra above the root relies on the root in order for you to do the balancing work and the healing and wholeness work. So if your root chakra is already unbalanced, but you're doing heart healing work, it is taken from your solar plexus, your sacral, as well as your root. So which means your root chakra becomes further unbalanced. It is important that when you're doing any form of healing work, whether it's from sexual trauma, whether it's abuse, any form of healing work, you need to fortify and balance the root before you do any other form of healing. Because usually that fight or flight response will not go away unless you feel safe. Which means that even if you feel healed and whole in the heart, if you are still easily activated in that fight or flight or a hyper-adrenalized response, it is an indication that your root chakra is still unbalanced and you need to support it. There are other ways in tandem with working with yoni eggs that you can support the balancing of the root chakra through nourishing foods, as well as nervous system regulation and breathing exercises in tandem with the yoni jewel. But it is important for us as women to do that work of nourishing and supporting and balancing the root chakra in tandem with any other healing work so that we can begin to feel safe and at home in our bodies. Any other questions?
Rachel, do you have any questions? Okay.
No, I do not.
Okay. So what I wanted to ask is two questions. I want to ask two questions. One, because when we first started, you talked about how using the yoni eggs is also helps us to have more pleasure in our bodies. But also, and then I just heard you also talk about the yoni eggs can be used for trauma to help heal the trauma. Is there certain affirmations you would use with the yoni eggs for the trauma? And maybe give us a little bit more around the pleasure part of using the yoni eggs. And before you start, I just want to say everybody that Nichole is going to be the first facilitator or speaker for Voices, which stands for Voicing Our Integrity, Choices, and Expectations. She is going to be the first facilitator for the circle. It's also called the circle. She is going to break down even further, and that class will be January's class will be circle will just be free for anybody to attend, because at the end of it she will be doing a more in-depth training for those, and that will be a cost. So let's just take advantage as much as we can today to get the information, but she will be really taking us into so much more. um she's deep, y'all. She knows about the wands and everything, and that's not something we're going to talk about today, but I just wanted y'all to know, keep that in mind. In January she'll be with us twice, once for the circle, and then she'll be hosting a class for even more in-depth information. So with that, Nichole, I had those two questions. Do you remember what they were?
How working with yoni eggs can support healing with trauma and how you can expand your pleasure range using yoni eggs.
Yes, ma'am.
So the first question, as I indicated earlier when I was speaking, because yoni eggs are very penetrative in nature, based on how they're structurally designed and the fact that you have to insert it into the yoni. As I started to allude, for the instance of a woman who is choosing to work with a drilled yoni egg where she inserts it, and when she's ready to remove it, she just pulls the string to remove it. Now, one of the things that usually occur with us as women when we experience a trigger that reverts us back to a traumatic experience, it is our inherent nature to close, to clench, to close our legs, to clench our yoni, to close our body as a response or bracing for impact of some sort. Because of how penetrative a yoni egg is, when you insert it, it forces you to open. When a woman is too tight and constricted, there is no room for expansion, for growth, for her to take up space. And the two questions that you asked, Teresa, they're all interconnected, or they're all woven together, because a woman's power lies in her capacity and ability to expand, be big, and take up space. Our bodies are structurally designed, which is why our breasts becomes full, our belly becomes lush, our hips spread. And this is even aside from pregnancy. We have an ebb and flow that happens with our body that reflects whatever it is that we are navigating in our day-to-day life. So when you see in yourself getting full and lush and expansive, one out of two things, it could be that it's almost moon time, or it's almost ovulation, or it's also indicative of your ability to manifest and what you are birthing through you right now. Because it is us that takes what is the unseen and make it manifest and materialize in the physical realm. So what does that have to do with healing trauma? When you are bound to your traumatic experience as a woman, you're tight and constricted. Your throat and your mouth, you clench in your jaw, your throat is tight, you speak tightly, your legs are closed, yoni is closed. Everything is constricted. So there's no room for anything to move through you and move out from you. And this is where working with yoni eggs can support us with facing what is held or locked into the womb from an emotional standpoint as it pertains to the traumatic experience, and support us with transmuting it, because what it does is, and I guess I'll go into it from the alchemical point, and this is what I was alluding to earlier. When you are working with an egg, there's an alchemical purpose to the pointed end and the wide end. So the pointed end is where when you insert it and the pointing end is facing the mouth of the cervix, whatever that is locked into the womb, the pointed end of the yoni egg draws it and absorbs it. And when you navigate that experience to the point that you've achieved some level of mastery in retaining it, and you observe that it comes out of you in this fashion, it is indicative that what has happened is that it has drawn as much as possible from the womb, and it has turned to support you with releasing it out of the womb. That's the alchemy behind the egg, in using or working with a yoni egg to support with womb healing, womb transformation of any stuck or stagnant emotions, as well as wounding and trauma.
And so can I ask, if it stays, if the pointing end doesn't turn down, does that mean that it still pulled some in, but there's still more to be worked on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's what it's indicative of. Additionally, now when it comes to expansion of range, when it comes to pleasure, constriction and tension held in the body for us as women is indicative of where we have reached a boundary or where there's some form of limitation. This is where working with yoni eggs to expand your range of pleasure can be supportive. As I indicated, this aqua obsidian yoni egg, this is the medium. When it comes to working with the larger sizes, what that does is that it opens you more within so that you have the capacity to receive more in terms of manifestation of what is to be birthed through you, but also a capacity to be able to feel comfortable with taking up more space and occupying more of your power, which also amplifies your pleasure, your range of pleasure. Okay?
Yes. So I have another question, if it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. So
Yes.
one of the things that you talked about, because I just absolutely love and adore you, and you've shared some things with me before, and so I would like you to just kind of talk to the women a little bit about one of the other ways, because I think we unconsciously just sit with our legs closed all the time
Mm.
and not wearing and about letting not wearing panties, even if they feel like they have to wear them to work, but try to be as much to let her breathe and let her. So, would you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So women are programmed to keep themselves closed. From the moment you have developed your personality as a girl, you're always told to close your energy, close your legs.
Close your energy.
You have been programmed to not feel safe in the world, and that there are things you have to do to keep your energy closed and not show up too big, not show up lush, not show up too vibrant. And all of those things, all of that programming has conditioned us to literally abdicate our power. Because it
Wow.
is in the access of us showing up big, opening our
Mm-hmm.
legs. And there's a way that you can open up your legs that it
Mm-hmm.
is still tasteful, it is still ladylike, without constricting and closing off you occupying your power. Women of today love to wear jeans. That is the most dangerous, disassociative article of clothing that a woman could wear. A lot of times they think they look sexy, which you do, but it cuts you off so much from the access of your womb space. It cuts you off from the circulation of your energetic frequency that merges between the earth and your womb. It also creates static in the womb space because, of course, there's so much constriction because jeans is tight and constricted, even if it's the stretchy material jeans, because it's sitting there at the introitus of the yoni, and it causes friction and it creates a type of static energy, static electricity within the womb. I encourage women to wear panties less, as often as possible, so that the pum pum could breathe, one, and two, for you to be comfortable with cultivating that relationship and that connection with your yoni, with your womb, so that you can then become safe with inhabiting her, with feeling the sensations. Because again, all of this is societal programming, and usually a lot of that programming we receive from other women. Because at this juncture, in this day and age, there are men speaking, but really and truly, a lot of the guidance that cuts us off from us inhabiting our power as women, we received from elder women. And one of the things that I will say, and I'm going to speak to this because it all ties in. Women who are navigating perimenopause and menopause, it is important that you all shift and adjust how you connect with your yoni, because a lot of the things that you used to be able to do in your younger years, those things no longer apply to the version of you that is coming forth. And it requires a different level of care, a different relationship or relating to your womb and to your yoni. And in that sense and in that lens, this is where, like working with yoni eggs for women who are navigating perimenopause and menopause, this is a time where women also abdicate their power because of societal programming. You do not embrace the changes because you have been so accustomed to the youthful version of you and who you were, and you yearn for that, where there's a version of you that is coming forth that is so powerful. This is a time where you need to have more orgasms. Yes,
Ooh,
I'm
sounds
saying
good.
this is the time where you need to have more orgasms. This is where working with Uni X can support you with staying lubricated, with staying juicy, staying present, staying supple, staying open, because the menopausal journey requires more openness and expansion than you have ever been invited to open and expand, so that you could fully occupy all of your power that is coming forth. So I felt it was important to speak to that. And a lot of times for us as women, like I said, our immediate reaction is to coil, constrict, close. What I would like to leave for you all today is spend more time opening. Allow yourself to open and receive.
Thank you. So, Rachel, again, I'm going to ask if you have any questions, because I am going to give Miss Nichole a few minutes to answer any questions from the audience. So go ahead, Rachel.
I don't have any questions. I have she did a great job, especially educating us on, just because it says that, because I have seen eggs and often thought, okay, how am I supposed to differentiate the truth? And so I'm very thankful that she went into explanations also about hollow and non-hollow. So she did such a great job on some of the questions I already had. I don't have any additional ones. Thank you so much for your time.
So yeah, she did. She did an amazing job. So I'm gonna ask if you have, one of the good things about when we do StreamYard, or we do the like here, if we do on and you be on live with us, you get more of a opportunity to ask questions. And so we do have one, and if anybody else wants, Miss Nichole answers that. If anybody else wants to ask a question, you can either come on or you can type it in. So hold on, let me see. Hold on, let me hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to see what it was said, but I think I missed it.
It was, how do you energetically cleanse the yoni egg? Is it the same as we cleanse crystals?
Thank you so much for that question. That's a beautiful
Yes.
question. Not exactly, no. So the standard protocol or practice that most people use to energetically cleanse and clear a regular crystal is whether it's through smoke, through water, burying it in soil, or burying it in salt, or a salt water bath. No. You can do those things, but what is most important is you have to physically wash it with like a Castile soap. And this is usually advised prior to first use, or when you haven't worked with it for quite some time, or if you have like an actual situation where like okay, so I gonna get raw hair now. I gonna get even more raw hair now and vivid. There are
Okay.
instances where in your uni egg journey, ladies, when you begin working with your uni egg, you go to sit down on the toilet, it will come out and it gonna fall in the toilet. Okay. Now, like I said, it's gonna be a little gross. Say, for instance, you're doing the number 2, you're pooping, and you forgot you have it in, and you have the hot one coming out, and bragadam, it fall in the toilet with all of that poop. Okay? If you are able to get it out, because that has happened to me before, and I let a bad boy flush down the toilet because I wasn't putting my hand in there. But if you are able to get it out, of course, you have to still physically cleanse it and sanitize it. And usually, like a Castile soap, a gentle soap, because remember now this is going inside the uni. So you want to also take precaution as to what you are cleansing it with physically to ensure that it is safe for you to insert into your uni once you have physically cleansed it. And then, of course, thereafter, the standard protocol is to like smudge it with your smudge of preference, smudging it with the smoke. You also attune it as well based on your intentions that you wanted to support you with the work that you're doing together. So attuning your uni egg is really important. Or you could just trust in its wisdom and its guidance to do the work that it's designed to do. You don't really have to set an intention, but it's always encouraged to attune it and set an intention. So
What would
in
that
that,
look like?
I'm sorry.
Real quick, I'm sorry, real quick to attune it, like briefly. It don't have to be something major. Just when you're talking about attuning for women that might not know, would it just be like an affirmation or something?
So I don't believe in affirmations.
Okay.
I know that gonna sound harsh. I don't believe in affirmations. And the reason why I don't believe in affirmations is because, especially when you're working with uni eggs and you're working with it to support you in shifting, transmuting, you don't want to do affirmations because you need to, in order for affirmations to be made a reality, you have to start from a clean state or slate. And if you're working with uni eggs to support you with any form of healing and transformation, you're affirming on top of a unsound foundation.
Okay.
And usually what people call or recite as affirmations is not really affirmations. It's they're affirming themselves in the state that they are presently in and not from the state or the version of themselves that they're shifting towards.
Okay.
So which means, what does that look like? If I am reciting affirmations because I desire to move into a new home, a lot of times when we recite affirmations or we're speaking from the version of ourselves that is in the circumstance that we're trying to move from, not from the version of the self that is already occupying the state that we're going towards. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, when you are attuning your uni egg, just basically whatever intentions, if you got the particular crystal for specific work, you tell it what the situation is. We're going to work together so that you could support me with seeing the truth, learning the lesson, moving forward. Because a lot of times there's a heroic approach that women also take with working with yoni eggs, where they think that the yoni egg is going to save them from the issue or take away the issue. No. Especially depending on the type of crystal that you're working with, it is not like it's taking away something from you that is hurting you. It is going to show you the role that you played in the experience. It's going to show you where you have to ascend in taking responsibility, where your boundaries may be weak and shoddy, and where you need to show up those boundaries. Yoni eggs support you in operating from the space of sovereignty.
Oh, sovereignty. I love it.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, if it's okay, I'm going to move into the space and ask anyone if you have a question. Unmute yourself and ask the question. And somebody said this is the best information they've heard in a long time. All right,
So
she
it
is.
seems like as if they had another question. Is it okay to have it inside while having an energy session where energy orgasms may occur? Also, is it okay to charge the yoni egg with intention? Yes. Yes to charging the yoni egg with intention. Now, when it comes to energy work, it all depends on the practitioner and the type of energy work that is being done. That is something that the customer or the woman who is working with the yoni egg, that she has to have a conversation with the energy healing practitioner, because depending on where they're doing the work on them, the yoni egg may pose not a hindrance per se, but it may not permit the free flowing of movement of the energy. So it depends on the practitioner and the type of energy work that is being done and where on the body the energy work is being done. Okay, so Visha, you asked a question. That question that you just asked opened the door for me to speak on this one thing. Ladies, when you get to a point that you are able to master retaining a yoni egg for several hours or even several days, depending on how well endowed your man is, you could even have sex with it in. And that also will heighten the pleasure in the intimate experience for the both of you. What does this look like? Depending on the crystal that you choose to work with, and I'll share my own personal experience. So there was a partner. I used to love exploring with him because he enjoyed being my guinea pig. So there was a partner, and the first time we had intercourse and I had a yoni egg in, I was working with Black Obsidian at the time. Now, when you have a yoni egg in and you are having intercourse, like I said, you have to take into consideration how well endowed that man is, but also where along the vaginal canal is the yoni egg position, because of course, as on the side of the cervix, there's usually like little pockets in the vaginal canal. And sometimes your yoni egg can just nestle itself right in one of those pockets on either side of the cervix. And while you're having intercourse, depending on the position, whether you're on top or you are on bottom, guiding him in such a way so that the head of his penis rubs against the yoni egg can support him in releasing and healing as well. Okay. And
Mhm.
especially if you are on top, you have greater control because then you can, once you know where the uni egg is located from him being within you, you can then stroke him while you're straddling him in a specific way, in a specific angle, so that the head of the penis rubs against the uni egg and thereby can facilitate some form of healing and transformation within him too.
Mm,
Okay.
this is good. So, man, and welcome Vishnu, because he normally doesn't come, but he asked could he be a part of this, and I'm like, yes, because we having it live and on Facebook, so the men can participate, not in a circle, but here. So I want to ask anybody else, if you had any questions, unmute yourself and ask Miss Nichole if you have any questions. So I guess do we have any questions? Okay. All right then. So what I want to say is I'm going to give you a chance to um tell us a little bit about if women can get the eggs from you. Tell us that. Tell us anything that you want to know about you and how they can reach out to you. And then I'll just talk a little bit about what's going to be happening and how you're going to still be with us.
And
Okay.
wait, before you do that, I want to
Okay.
thank you. This has been so informative. This has been really, really, really a beautiful exchange. And I'm so happy that I decided to just chime in. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. The presence of the masculine is always welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Since we didn't have any questions from the audience, you can go ahead and give us any information about you.
Okay, sure. So as Teresa mentioned at the start of this live gathering, I will be doing a more in-depth teaching on this next month is it the voices space?
Yeah, and the
Sorry.
voices, the sister
Is in
circle,
the,
right?
yes, in the sister circle. And then I will also be teaching an actual class as well as on this. It'll be a foundational class because even with what I have shared tonight, that is just scratching the surface. It goes a lot deeper. It's much more in depth, especially from a metaphysical standpoint. So if you are interested in learning more about that, feel free to sign up with the voice with Teresa in the voices space so that you can be made aware of when that comes up. If you want to get in touch with me, if you feel more comfortable in wanting to work one-on-one, I did provide to Teresa my link tree, and let me put that in the chat so that anyone who decides that they want to have a consultation, a uni jewel consultation. I do sell uni jewels, but at this point in time, I have taken a break because there is a tariff situation going on with my region because of Mr. You know who. So I haven't really been selling them really because of this tariff situation. Because yes, even though I am an American, uh, I live outside of the continental US, and there have been things that have happened in terms of the changes where tariffs have affected Americans outside of the continental US. So I have not been advertising the sales of the uni eggs because of that. But if you do want to have a consultation where we can speak more in depth privately and in terms of getting a recommendation for the ideal yoni egg for your specific situation that you may be navigating that you require support. I do offer consultations. I also do teach not only on working with yoni eggs, but menstrual cycle awareness, which I call moon time consciousness. I also have a membership container, which is called Awakening the Cauldron to Better Living. It is a expansive container. It's a living membership that is expansive, that supports women who are ready to rise from mediocrity and expand into occupying the full sphere of their feminine essence and influence as a woman. And this is where we work with the energetics, refining the field, uh, calling in, commanding your pleasure, commanding your power, reducing mental clutter to support us with showing up in coherence and pristinely and operating in clarity. And that is a container that we dive deep into the metaphysics. It contains a 5-part focus that I like to call praxis, which is beauty alchemy or the beauty curate, moon time adherence. This is menstrual cycle awareness. And in the menstrual cycle awareness for women who no longer bleed due to menopause or hysterectomy, there is still an adherence for you. It's just that it looks different because you are different. There's also a praxis that focuses on the home front and how you can command and direct the flow within the home to serve and support you. And then there's also a pleasure command. The pleasure command is basically self-pleasure practices that support you with fine-tuning and refining your energy field. So the Awakening the Cauldron to Better Living membership is where it's at if you want to receive more of me and you're comfortable with doing that in a group setting. I do also do one-on-one mentorship that is tailored specifically to the woman and her unique journey. And that process is much more detailed, much more granular because I get all up in your business. And that is also a 9-month journey. So I'm busy yapping and I didn't provide the link tree.
That's
But
okay. You know what? You can provide it. Well, this is Zoom, so you can provide it
yeah,
here, but you also can provide it on Facebook because we're on live on Facebook. So you can put it
yes.
in Facebook after this,
Okay.
so anybody that watched it can get your link.
Yes. So I'll do that because it's much easier for me to do it from my phone, but I'm on Zoom on my computer. So
Okay.
I'll do it from my phone in the chat once the live has ended. Anyone with any final questions?
Do you talk to men? No, no,
Um,
you gotta understand. See, I do energy work. I go deep. I have a really great set of mentors, but this is such
okay.
freshness, such newness coming from you. It's totally
I'm gonna
great.
be very frank. A lot of the work that I do is centered around women.
Yeah.
Uh, it is centered around women and women elevating. Um, because there's a lot of women that yearn for that. I mean, like when I say yearn, they yearn for it. But then when the time come to actually for the rubber to meet the road, they collapse. And that when that collapsing occurs, that is an indication that you're not giving yourself the space you need to expand to become or ascend and become the version of you that you are yearning to become. And this is another reason why, too, working with Uni Eggs can support with that. Because again, it it pushes you to open, to expand, to show up, to get big and get lush and get comfortable with that discomfort, because that discomfort lets you know that what used to continue and this version of you that you're calling in can no longer be. So you gotta change. You gotta open up the boundaries a bit. And when I say boundaries, I'm not talking about boundaries in terms of other people having access. Boundaries in terms of your range of expansion into your power, into your pleasure.
And that's great. And what I do is I hold space uh, to make women feel secure, safe enough
Mm-hmm.
to experience that. And so listening to you is like eating such fresh newness. You don't have to. You didn't have to say, "Hey, man, this is what you do." No, just listening to you talk to these women was like some of the best medicine uh,
Oh,
that I have had in a long
mm,
time. So that's great.
I received
And
that.
your accent too. You hear me? Your accent,
Thank you.
your
Thank
accent
you.
too.
I received that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. I will.
So now what I want to do, because we've come to the end, and again, I want to thank everybody on Facebook that listened, that will come back and listen, to everybody that showed up on this particular platform, Zoom, that supported us and learned something, because I cannot imagine anybody being here and not learn nothing. So I want to tell everybody just thank you, thank you, thank you. And also in 2026, last year, Voices, our theme was the year of the orgasm, and this year the theme is about seduction, and it's called seduce your life, elevate your pleasure meter. So we're going to be doing that this whole year through sexual expansion, desire, live desire, through elevation, upliftment, confidence, and living a life of ecstasy where we're fulfilling our dreams. And that's one of the things that I'm so glad we're starting off with these tools about the yoni eggs and all these things, because we are going to set the tone for our year to be able to manifest things that we want and desire, and to expand ourselves as women. So the circle meets the second Saturday of every month. And in January, anybody can show up, and Miss Nichole will be speaking. She'll be giving us the foundational tools. The fourth Saturday, she will be teaching a foundational class. And I'm telling y'all don't want to miss it. Y'all do not want to miss it. I am so excited. So the prices and the time and all those things we will be posting later. And also we're getting our website. We have a website, but we're actually putting up the women for the year, because we have the women for the year for which is Voices is under, and we also have for the year where we'll be. Oh, you're welcome, Zuli. And then we're also going to have conversations with the sister, which will be once a month. I just want to let y'all know, be looking out for this, because in conversation with a sister, we're going to have 12 different women throughout the year talking about how they went from all the different challenges they had to still be able to stand in their power and live their best life. We have one woman who had a kidney transplant. We had somebody who's had breast cancer, somebody who's dealt with grief. We have all of these different things going on in terms of conversation with your sister, which is another part of Radical Transformation with T. So now I just want to tell everybody thank you. And we will post she will post her link on Facebook. And thank you again to everybody who showed up.
I
I'm
just
like,
shared it. I
huh?
just shared it. I just
Okay,
shared it in the chat of the live.
thank you. And this has just been amazing. So thank you for showing up and saying yes to us. And thank you to the women who showed up for themselves. Rachel, I'm through talking. So is anything you want to say before we close, so you can close us out?
No, I think everything has been said. I don't see her information in the chat. I was going to say that. That was it.
She just put it on
It's
Facebook.
in the chat of the live on
Oh,
Facebook.
okay. All right.
Okay. All right. All right. Y'all have a good night and
Good
thank you
night.
again. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, start recording. Stop the recording.